Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course, and joining us from East Lansing, getting ready for the Big Ten softball tournament starting tomorrow, is the head coach of the Purdue Boilermakers softball team. Of course, that's Oliveria. How's it going?
Hi, Casey. We just got to the hotel, had some film, had dinner. We're back in our rooms, and we're excited to be here.
Yeah, of course. Here in, one of the 12 teams that is currently in East Lansing right now, and of course, going into this tournament is we haven't had this in a while. So, I mean, you were a part of the last one. What was that like to finally get back into maybe some, the tournament style thing? Because we played everybody last year. Obviously, we didn't have a season 2 years ago, but I mean, yeah, most of this team does not played in this tournament, so they don't know what it's like.
Right. And, just as far as the season, it was so different this year playing non-Big Ten opponents. It was really exciting to get to have a preseason, to get to have midweeks. And honestly, I really liked not having to play each Big Ten opponent 4 times. We did that last year because of COVID, and that was just a total, brutal fight because you're sometimes seeing the same pitcher 4 times or seeing the same hitter 4 different days. And the Big Ten's a tough conference, and it's been a tough season for everybody, but excited to be back at the tournament. And, we already had our meeting with Michigan State, and they have everything just tip-top shape, and we're excited to get to it.
Yeah, of course. One of the best places I've been to. Press box is kind of small though, but
I haven't been up there, so I couldn't tell you.
It is. I've been up there. It's tiny. But overall, Secu Stadium is one of the best. Of course, it's also where the MHSA high school softball finals is at as well. Let's talk about your season so far. We had you on in the preseason before the season started. But what has it been like this year for you guys, for your team?
Our team has just fought hard all season. We've come across some obstacles just with injuries and having kind of lower roster numbers with our team right now. It just with who's available and who's not. I think that's probably a common theme across a lot of teams, given either COVID, returning from COVID, or just injuries in general. But our team has been super scrappy, and they've just really bonded together and have really fought and have given us a chance to win in every game that we've been in. And just really proud of how relentless this team is. And I would say, most proud too of just the chemistry that they have with each other. They get along really well. They're all really good teammates, and all really fighting for the same goal, which sometimes that's hard to do with large group and large number of people. And our team has managed to really become a family, and they're a pleasure to be around.
So I know that you've had some ups, you've had some downs. You spent most of the season, the beginning of the season, like every team does from the Midwest on the road. And then you had that impressive streak in March when you went 10-3 in those games. What was that like for this team to really go through that stretch for you guys?
It was good. It was needed. The grind of preseason for teams that are on the road is real. I don't think people realize when you're at a cold weather school that you're on the road for 6 weeks, and there's a lot of teams that do it, and the teams that do it well, is definitely character building, and it helps you with your conference season because you've been on the road, you've missed class, you've had to take tests on the road, you've been traveling, getting back late, getting up early, and that's just normal to all the Big Ten teams, and it's just what we do. We don't know any different. And I would say our team having that stretch was just really big confidence boost coming into conference to be able to beat a top 25 team right before we started conference, and just to know that we can hang with anyone, and on any given day that we can beat anyone, and that's part of the beauty of softball, not just Purdue softball, that on any given day, any team can win.
Yeah, anything can and usually will happen in this sport. It is insane. You talked about picking up your first win against a ranked opponent. First time you've done that since 2009. What was that like? What was that moment like for this team to really get that confidence booster heading into Big Ten play?
It was really exciting. Corrick is one of the best pitchers in the country. And she's top notch, and their team plays well behind her. And to be able to know that you're facing an opponent that's top ranked, that is an annual postseason team, that you're facing a pitcher that is truly one of the best pitchers in the country, and to be able to win that game is a total confidence booster going into the Big Ten season, where you're going to see very good pitching. And now you have that, in that film reel, that mental film reel, you have a win against the top ranked pitcher.
I was talking to Shonda Stanton. She was on. We talked with her earlier on today, and she was talking about a lot of her team hasn't really experienced this as well as most of your team. I think really only Rachel and Alex maybe are two of the only players that really experienced the last time we
Yeah.
even had a Big Ten tournament.
Well, when you think about just what COVID has done over the last couple of years, the senior class had a normal freshman year, and then sophomore year was COVID, junior year was conference only, and then now they're in their senior year. And for us, a lot of our seniors have had injuries at different times. So you're right that truly Rachel and Alex have been two of the mainstays. Our senior class has had a lot of playing time for us, but they definitely have battled injuries, been in and out of the lineup because of it. And we have to keep reminding ourselves that for a lot of our team, this is their first time experiencing different things. It's their first time going to Michigan State. It's their first time, being in the Big Ten tournament of, even small things like they're so excited about the credentials. The credentials are like awesome. They have headshots and they get you all access to the different things and little things like that where you don't even think about it because you've been to so many tournaments. But for a lot of them, this is their first time coming to a Big Ten tournament. And, it's exciting to have a snack tent and to have, T-shirts and all the fun stuff. That's softball aside, it's just things that they don't register because we've been to so many as coaches.
I have a whole box of those credentials somewhere hidden in my
somewhere safe, I'm sure.
Somewhere, yes. Yeah. It's so cool to get every time you go there. But going into this tournament, outside of really, we had Rachel on earlier this year, but also who has really impressed you so far this season that we're really not talking about?
On our team or on other teams?
On your team.
Something that we talked about at our banquet a week or so ago is that our team has really had different moments of leadership and different moments of people being stars. I would say if you're talking consistency, Rachel Becker and Alex Echezarreta offensively have been consistent for us. We switched our lineup up about, maybe 2 weeks ago, put Alex up in the 2 spot, and now her and Becker are in the 1-2, the spots that get the most at bats. It's really hard to pitch around one because the other one's behind them. But we've also had, Jade Moy step up in big moments in the 3-hole and get a hit, or Tyrena Jones this past weekend on Sunday had all the RBIs in the game. You've had Liv McFadden draw a walk against Rutgers, or Kiera Dillon drop a bunt in the 7th inning to get us going for a rally to start the game. Kaylee Halata hit a home run against US. We've had so many different people, and I'm not trying to not mention people. There's just been a lot of people that have had different key performances for us. So it's exciting to see. Riley Platusik had a great weekend against Iowa, and she's been someone that's been consistent for us as well. So it's exciting when you're making the lineup to go, okay, like we're in an okay spot here. So what? We're in this part of the game. We have this part of the order. Feeling good about how we've been turning the lineup around the past couple of weeks of being able to get back to the top. And for us offensively, just a big part of our game is getting the bottom on. Like the bottom wins games because you need those bottom hitters to turn the lineup over to get on base for those top hitters to hit them in.
You have 18 sack flies this season.
Yes.
Since 2003.
Yeah. We place a lot of rise ball pitchers, and a big thing for us is we don't care how we pass the bat, but be productive, whether it's a bunt, a hit by pitch, a sack fly. We've had quite a bit of sack flies, and some of that I think you can, contribute to that. We've played at some big parks in the preseason that had deep fields. We played at one park that some of the hits that we had, I'm like, that is almost, a 250-foot fly ball, and they just stand there and catch it because the fence is, far. But quite a bit of sack flies. Hoping for some more line drives and ground balls tomorrow, obviously, but I'll take a sack fly that moves a runner any day.
Most home runs since 2011, 34 on this team. Well, hitting the ball is one thing, but to get that many home runs in a year, and I know that this is something that you've been building since you got to Purdue a handful of years ago. To get that many home runs, first time since 2011, that was before you even got there.
Right.
What was that like to kind of really see the offensive production really kind of come about?
Well, I think when you look at our coaching staff, we have 2 great coaches, an associate head coach, Dorian Shaw, who handles our hitting, and assistant coach Maggie Prizzotti. And on our staff, we really are big on being the head coach in your area, and we all help each other in the different areas. So, we all think of the vision when we all support, Dorian's leading the charge on offense. And when you have an All-American hitter that used to hit a ton of home runs, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And she does a really great job of coming up with hitting plans against opposing pitchers, of having film, of having, practice designed so that our team is prepared when they get in games. And you can say the same thing about Coach Maggie with defense. I've seen her help our defense develop to a different level. We are a higher caliber defensive team than we've been in the past. Our game savvy is up, and just the combination of having people that have, I would say, postseason or international experience has been very helpful, because, we feel like we know what it takes to get to where we want to go, and getting the team on board is part of that. But having people that have been there before and can say, hey, this is going to work, this isn't going to work, let's meet somewhere in the middle so that we can come up with how we're going to get there.
Okay, so let's talk about the opponent. You're going to be on Wednesday, 1:30 on BTN. Of course, you're going to be playing the Buckeyes. Of course, you're the 11 seed in the tournament. Going into that game, of course, what's that going to be like? Because this is tournament time, and anything can happen.
Right. They're good. They're a really talented team. I mean, obviously, anyone that has watched them knows that they're a talented team. They can hit for power. The middle to bottom of their order bunts well. They run well, and they have good pitching. Last year when we faced them, we beat them 3 or 4 times in the series that we played, and we feel like, this is our time. I don't know, how many people watched the Kentucky Derby, but like 80-1 odds that horse was going to win, right? Like 80-1 odds that the horse was going to win. That trainer and the owner are making bank right now. I read it was the second biggest long shot for a win in like 148 or 150 years. And when they talked to, the horse owner, they were saying, or the trainer, it was like, hey, I didn't know I had a Derby horse. I was just trying to get a horse basically that would win enough to keep the owners happy and have them enjoy the sport, and for us, we've been recruiting that champion, we've been recruiting top talent and developing what we have. And I really feel good about it. Our team is playing well. Like I said, our team is playing well together. And, I think it's coming to an end for some of our seniors. And while that's sad, it also kind of gives you that extra, like, hey, let's just leave it all on the field. What do we have to lose? Why not us? Why can't we be the team that gets the at-large bid? We have a good setup as far as the path to get there. We're playing, we haven't played Ohio State yet, and they have obviously a new lefty pitcher and some new players, but we do too, so I think the unknown of not having played each other is probably a little bit of nerve-wracking for both sides, just because, you go play in Illinois, we played them twice, or Iowa 3 times. Iowa's not the tournament, but for example, you play teams that you've played in season, you have film, you have your in-game notes where you're playing this opponent now, Ohio State, that you haven't played, and you're watching film, and you're trying to come up with this game plan. So I think, both sides have that we haven't played each other, but why aren't we the Rich Strike horse? Why can't we be the horse that doesn't have the odds based off of our seed? Because in my opinion, I think that we are the best 11 seed team in the country. And I'll tell you that, like, it's a tough conference. And, anyone that has followed the Big Ten this year has seen some crazy wins, some crazy losses, yes. Different teams going up, coming down, staying middle, moving. I mean, it's been crazy, because as your team gets better, as Purdue's softball gets better with the recruiting and with the development and with the talent, so does everybody else. Yep. And it is a challenging conference. And I know, I think people should be talking about the Big Ten more, because I think that the Big Ten is a powerhouse conference, and that we can have more than a handful of teams making postseason. I mean, look at who's in our conference. We have great teams, including Purdue, in our conference that can do really big things nationally.
There's 12 teams that could really go out and win it this year, and the top is good, and the bottom is just as good.
Yeah, and it's crazy. We have a Big Ten head coaches text thread that we text each other on, and the amount of texts that come through of like, hey, congrats to so and so on 100, on 1700, on 700, the amount of wins, it's just crazy. And as a younger head coach, I'm like super honored to be in a conference where I get to coach against Hall of Famers, get to see our conference have these strong coaches in it. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is for sure. All right. Well, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, Purdue will be taking on Ohio State tomorrow at 1:30 on BTN. Coach, thanks for joining us, and good luck in the tournament.
Thanks. Have a good night.